left a trail of myself every place that I've been through. And going bald is the most manly thing I'm ever gonna do.
You may hear a seagull squawking. That is because it's the 18th of July 2013. It's a balmy 22 degrees, I'm gonna say. And I am joined by a man who, fittingly enough, is fronting a band tonight called The Rain, a man who has given us such summertime classics as The Last Time I Did Acid, I Went Insane, and If You Shoot the Head, You Will Kill the Ghoul. It's Jeffrey Lewis.
Hey.
Thanks very much for being on the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
How is your relationship with touring these days? How has it changed?
Well, I don't know. It's about the same as it ever was. Going on like 12 years now, which is kind of crazy because usually people think in the music industry you're either gonna fail or make it big. And somehow I seem to be existing in a realm that disproves that theory because I've been doing it exactly like this for 12 years with remaining my head above water while under the radar.
Yeah. So are you still sleeping on couches, still sleeping on floors? You're still happy to go and make that sacrifice for the sake of touring?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a tremendous variety from night to night between, from the just sleaziest student floors to like some kind of fancy hotel, or in the course of every year, I'll end up in a lot of different situations.
I'll tell the earth, thanks for the hair, thanks for the skin, thanks for the bone. Though I now slowly give it back, I still appreciate the loan. Just tell me that you like me in the same sentence as a mountainside.
What about the DIY side of things, like the side outside of music where you have to kind of go and sell yourself in some regard, and you're organizing all these tours, you're helping to put out these things, you're very much in control of the recording, the artwork. Like, who shaped you in that regard?
It just sort of seemed like it wasn't particularly a plan. It was just like, oh, I have some songs, I can hit record on this thing and record them so I don't forget them, or I can draw a comic book and make photocopies of it, and probably like a lot of people, it was just you just do what you can do, and then at a certain point you get familiar with doing things that way, and then you start having other options, and it's like, oh well, now you can record in the studio and you can do stuff in color perhaps, or different options, and then you have to make a choice like, well, do I go hi-fi, high budget, So I've dabbled in that a little bit, but I'm certainly more comfortable with just keeping things a little more homemade.
Before the land, before time. There was a time before land, when the world was just slime, and Krongu was the brand.
For yourself, like with songwriting, we were discussing earlier before we started filming here that you do contribute to a very good column from the New York Times called Measure to Measure, and for that, obviously, you're kind of dissecting your own process, you're looking at other people's songwriting as well. Can you overthink your songwriting as a result? I mean, does it take away the mystery or kill the inspiration?
It probably, but at the same time, it's still mysteriously all about inspiration. Whereas comic books, I have a very definite sense of the technique of making a comic book. I feel quite confident. If I have a piece of paper and a pen, I know, like, if I do step A, step B, step C at the end of it, I'll have a comic book. Whereas songwriting, no matter how much supposed craft at this point I should know, doing it for so long, it's still basically just about inspiration. You can have an idea that you really feel excited about or not, and it doesn't seem to be as craft-based, at least for me. I can think about syllables, I can think about a lot of different technical things, but if it doesn't really speak to me, then none of that stuff is going to matter.
If you'd bought stock in Narrow, for a while it would have skyrocketed. It would have been mucho dinero that you would have stood to have pocketed. But if you missed out on that ship, then you have my sympathies, kid. 'Cause Krongu's value dipped as those slimy seas did.
What about the personal songs? Like you've said before that if there's a feeling that's uncomfortable, you want to go for that because that's where the powerful emotions are, and even if it's a shitty situation, at least you got a song out of it. So like, how does that equate like when you're playing a song night after night and you're going back to like singing about like a broken heart or things like that?
Right. Well, I mean, it's sort of in that same conversation that we've had about how music could be in the realm of theater, where it's sort of you're following the script and your job is to bring forth the emotions in that script night after night. And then the other end of the spectrum is music as sports, where you just go out there, you don't know what's going to happen, and you hope that you win, but humiliating defeat on stage is a possibility. And in attempting to constantly play different material, I've shot myself in the foot more times than I care to think about. I've completely, humiliated myself playing terrible shows because of, an unwillingness to do what I knew how to do.
What, you mean like there's an expectation for you to play certain songs or just
no, like
express
more,
them a certain way?
Like I could do this song that I definitely know how to play, but I'm kind of more excited about like, I really feel like I want to do this other one that I just wrote, or that, I haven't played in a long time, or, I haven't been playing the last few nights, so I have no idea if I'll remember the words or if I'll, And now that I'm playing with these folks, Isabel and Heather, I feel like I've sort of like tossed them into the deep end of the pool because there's a lot of material that they haven't had a chance to learn or to rehearse much. And I think in bands that they've been in previously, nothing was played on stage without like really proper rehearsal time. And there's obviously tremendous wisdom in that. Like, I many times I'll play something and I'm like, really wish I'd rehearsed that one more before trying that. But it at least avoids sapping something of the initial emotional resonance that, And then there's some songs that I can play a million times and still like totally connect with. But sometimes you feel yourself drifting away from certain material and then you kind of let it go for a while and work on something else and see if it comes back around.
Let the crops go fallow. You got to give them a fallow year to come back.
Yeah. Item. There might have been better sludges, but no one ever tried 'em.
Would you be willing to perform a song for us now? If I duck down and do that.
Wow, that's a good, real martial arts. So this one is called WWPRD for short, or extended title, What Would Pussy Riot Do? Pussy Riot went to prison just to make some people listen. They said church and state's corrupt. It must be true because they're locked up. Before you lose democracy, you ask yourself and I'll ask me. WWPRD. Put in jail for 2 years each just for punk rock public speech? What is this, the Middle Ages? Let those women out of those cages. Before you choose complacency, you ask yourself and I'll ask me. WWPRD. Minds can open in a flash when hit by art or hit by cash. Money wins as like as not. Imagination's all we've got. So let's just have the decency for you to ask yourself and I'll ask me. WWPRD. Because progress is not guaranteed. This kind of riot is what we need. This ain't the old Red Army faction. This is bold, nonviolent action. To change the world, the biggest hint is art is really what convinces. That's why they always try to buy it, but they couldn't buy off Pussy Riot. So when you see bands on TV, you ask yourself and I'll ask me. WWPRD. Hey, Nadezhda and Maria and your other friends who got off free, we might not share all your beliefs and we might even have some beefs, but some things are just undisputed. You're so brave to do what you did. No drums, bass, or mics, or amps. 2 years in 2 prison camps. Those women are my heroes, and the world needs punk rock heroes. Dancing, rock and roll, and yelling, hand in hand with real rebelling. Bands who break through walls with speakers, not just try to sell you sneakers. You want bands who want to sell you things, or bands who want to tell you things? Before you don't say what you see, you ask yourself, and I'll ask me. WWPRD. Because isn't culture all we know to fight against the status quo? So what's the scoop back in the States, where culture just collaborates? When I see Beck sell cars and I see Best Coast selling booze, all this so-called counterculture offers no better world for us to choose. A better world to live in, not the same one that we're given. Better speeches, better sparks, not just all leeches and sharks. Heart inspires, art inspires. Pussy Riot shows me why. Because inspiration's still the one resource the 1% can't buy. So listen, people, artists, bands, before you get close with those brands, before you think it's cool to go record free at Converse Studio, before South by Southwest showcases with free Ray-Bans on your faces, before you think doing a TV ad is the best exposure your band had, just think how much strength you lend them every slight way you befriend them. You're the power, you're the biz. The world is what you say it is. The art you make, the things you say, define what is or ain't okay. Not shoes or sodas, you're the star. You define what values are. I know you need to eat, so screw it. Just ask yourself before you do it, why they give these things to you. No strings attached? That's so untrue. No strings attached? That's so naive. You're shaping what we all believe. So when's the last time you said one thing that lent strength to meaning something? Each day that things look so unbalanced, each day that we sell short our talents, each day our stars get chewed to bits and used for corporate benefits, each day I still don't have a clue. At least somewhere out in the world, there's some artists I still can look up to. They might be far between and few. It might be sad, it might be true. But at least I can ask me and you can ask you, what would Pussy Riot do?
All right, well that was Jeffrey Lewis performing a cappella, What Would Pussy Riot Do? We're going to be here on DCTV, Dublin Community Television, UPC channel 802, and online at dctv.ie/COI very, very soon. Look out for the gig in the Button Factory.